At 7:50 local time, in the airspace over the Persian Gulf, 25 nautical miles off the port of Bandar Abbas, two U.S. Navy F-18 Super Hornets flying under the call sign Top Hat are executing a combat air patrol to protect the fleet when they realize they have just stepped into a deadly trap. At 20,000 feet, the flight lead glances at his Joint Helmet-Mounted Cueing System, JHMCS. The sky below him is a swarm of mechanical flies. A pack of Shahid 136 suicide drones, powered by MD-550 piston engines, loiters at a sluggish 185 kilometers per hour. Their radar cross-section, RCS, is the size of a shopping cart, emitting a heat signature barely hotter than a lawnmower. They are fragile, they're stupid, but they pack enough high explosive to claw the radar panels off any billion-dollar warship. The pilot grits his teeth, squeezes the trigger. The final aim. 9X Sidewinder drops from the rail. It takes 4 seconds to shred the Shahid into a tumbling fireball. On his HUD, the word Winchester flashes in glaring amber. Out of air-to-air ordnance. Fuel status. Bingo. Zero margin for engagement. Using a $400,000 Sidewinder anti-air missile to shoot down a $20,000 drone is like using a sledgehammer to swat a mosquito. America can print more money, but an F-18 cannot magically carry more missiles. The two fighters are forced to bank hard, turning their tails to the enemy to head back to the carrier. A tactical void has just opened, exactly as calculated by a man down on the water. The Iris Shahid Bagheri is not a true warship. The Bagheri facing off against an Aegis destroyer is like a cargo truck with a few welded steel plates trying to get into a head-on shootout with a main battle tank. But the Iranian captain knows he cannot match American computational power. His survival relies on silence. For the past 4 hours, the Bagheri has operated in strict passive emission mode, shutting down all radar systems entirely. He used the Shahid drones as sacrificial pawns, stripping away the fleet's airborne armor. Now, with the F-18s turning their backs, he slams his hand onto the Charlie 802 launch console. The real killers awaken. 7:50 and 45 seconds. The deck-mounted radar blasts a high-energy pulse into the sky for exactly 3 seconds. 3 seconds of exposing itself to every scanning sensor in the Persian Gulf. A suicidal risk. But 3 seconds is just enough time for the ballistic computer to solve the targeting equation and upload it directly into the missile seeker's memory. 7:50 and 48 seconds. The radar goes dark. The ship vanishes back into invisible shadows. From the starboard side of the Bagheri, HC-802, Nor cruise missiles tear through a blanket of white smoke, launching out over the dark water. The solid fuel boosters push the 715 kilograms blocks of metal up to 50 meters. Then, the air-breathing turbojets ignite. The 8 missiles immediately drop altitude, diving down to skim the wave tops and accelerating to Mach 0.9. The Wolfpack has left the pen. At 7:52, deep inside the belly of the Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer USS Gravely, the friction of physics hits. Inside the Combat Information Center, CIC, Aegis, the most advanced air defense combat system in human history, is devouring millions of megabytes of data per second through the hexagonal arrays of its AN/SPY-1DV radar. An E-2D Hawkeye early warning aircraft, flying hundreds of miles away, transmits an encrypted data packet via Data Link 16. Top Hat reports Winchester. Fighters RTB. Sky is empty. The Tactical Action Officer Tau stares at his screens. 2 minutes ago, the ship's electronic support measures, ESM system, logged a rogue radar spike from the direction of Bandar Abbas at exactly 7:50 and 45 seconds. A 3-second burst that vanished before the TAO could even blink. His heart tightens. The enemy had pulled the trigger. He has been waiting for the other shoe to drop ever since. But the SPY-1 radar screens remain empty. No red dots. A chilling silence. This is the most brutal cruelty of combat geometry. The radio horizon boundary. The Earth is a sphere. The Aegis S-band phased array radar sits 20 meters above the water. It can see for hundreds of miles, but it cannot see through the curvature of the ocean. Out there, 20 miles away, 8C-802s are hugging the sea at a mere altitude of 5 meters. Tons of physical mass are tearing through the air at 300 meters per second, but to the destroyer's brain, they do not exist. The C-802 skimming the waves below the radar horizon is like a barefoot assassin walking in a security camera's blind spot, entirely non-existent until the blade swings. They know death is rushing in, yet they are completely blind to it. Inside the CIC, time thickens. The officers hold their breath. The TAO's hand, slick with cold sweat, hovers over the Auto Special Weapons Authorization key. He is waiting for the assassins to step out of the blind spot. At exactly 7:53, at a distance of 14 nautical miles, the non-negotiable theorem of ballistics finally takes effect. The 8C-802S crests the curvature of the water, stepping directly into the line of sight of the SPY-1D antenna arrays. Beep, beep, beep! The general quarters alarm shrieks, tearing through the CIC. The overhead lights snap to emergency crimson. The Aegis displays explode with activity. 8 bright red diamonds blaze to life against the green grid. Aegis computer classification: anti-ship cruise missile. NATO brevity code: Vampire. The game of hide-and-seek is over. The combat math begins. The Aegis computer coldly spits out a time to impact. Countdown in the bottom left corner: 85 seconds. 8 missiles, 8 different attack axes. They aren't flying in a straight line. The radio seekers of the C-802S initiate automatic terminal maneuvers, executing violent sinusoidal weaving to scramble the Aegis targeting algorithms. The Iranian captain didn't just want to sink the ship, he wanted to bleed and overload the SPY-1's engagement channels. Inside the CIC, no one screams. Panic is controlled by iron discipline. Vampire on bearing 045, count is 8, speed Mach 0.9. Loading intercept algorithms. 75 seconds. 70 seconds. The TAO grits his teeth. The physical distance is collapsing at a suffocating rate. 13 miles. 12 miles. The ship's VLS magazines hold dozens of SM-6 missiles, but using an ultra-expensive long-range interceptor for a close-in weaving target at 5 meters altitude is a mathematical gamble. And the Phalanx CIWS Gatling gun? Too late. If they wait for the CIWS to open fire at 1 mile, just one C-802 slipping through will bury its 165 kilograms warhead into the destroyer's engineering spaces, boiling all 300 sailors alive in 1,000-degree flames. Zero margin of error. He has less than 3 seconds to make a decision before the survival window permanently slams shut. Target locked. Tie system to auto defense. The TAO barks into the comms, slamming his hand down on the physical key. Auto special engaged. Weapons free. Launch ESSM. Exactly 75 seconds before impact, at a distance of 12 nautical miles, the Aegis system assumes total hardware control. What happens next is the rise of a tyrannical force. Boom! A chain of deafening explosions. The tearing sound of air being shredded. The shriek of rocket motors creates a symphony of death. The electronic firing order sweeps from the CIC to the below-deck magazines in 0.01 seconds. From the blinding smoke, 8 RIM 162 ESSM, Evolved Sea Sparrow Missile Block II interceptors blow their hatch covers. The massive exhaust pressure is violently vented through the plenum and blown out the uptake hatches as the missiles rocket into the dark sky like spears of solid light. The physical hull shutter reverberates through thousands of tons of steel. The entire ship violently vibrates. The acrid stench of solid rocket fuel is sucked backward into the ventilation, hitting the nostrils of the officers down in the CIC. In the airborne economic equation, the Americans had to bite their tongues. Using a $2 million ESSM to shoot down a $20,000 drone is like using a sledgehammer to swat a mosquito. But now, the quad-pack design, packing 4 ESSMs into a single launch tube, flexes its muscle. The ship unleashes its suppressed fury. And this fury moves at Mach 4. The moment they clear the hatches, the tail fins of the ESSMs snap hard. The rocket motors blast a 3-meter pillar of fire, subjecting the airframes to 35 Gs, enough force to crush human bones to paste. The 8 missiles arc up to 1,000 feet, making a majestic ballistic curve, then dive toward the sea to ambush the killers. 45 seconds. Distance, 8 miles. In older air defense generations, interceptors required the mothership to continuously paint the target with a radar beam to guide them. Lose the beam, lose the target. But with the ESSM Block II, their brains are right in their noses. As the gap narrows to 5 miles, the 8 ESSMs go pitbull. The miniaturized AESA active radar seekers in their nose cones wake up. They no longer need orders from the destroyer. They emit their own radio waves, growling, sniffing out the heat and alloy skin of the sea. 802S tearing through the wind below. Machines possess a soul, and the soul of the ESSM right now is pure rage, concentrated into binary code. Mach 4 slams head-on into Mach 0.9. The combined closure speed reaches over a mile per second. No human can intervene anymore. At exactly 7:55 a.m., 4 nautical miles from the destroyer, the two ballistic pathways intersect in the sky over the Persian Gulf. The ballistic intersection occurs a mere 6 meters above the water. A drawn-out hum of electronic static, and then a concussive blast that deletes all other sounds, leaving only a high-pitched ringing in the eardrums. The ESSM's active radar seeker calculates the proximity gap in microseconds. It doesn't attempt a kinetic, head-on collision that would be highly improbable at these velocities. Instead, the proximity fuse triggers the core. A storm cloud of tens of thousands of ultra-hard tungsten fragments blooms in midair. At combined supersonic velocities, the kinetic energy of these tiny metal cubes is devastating. They sweep across and shred the alloy hull of the C-802S like wet newspaper. Fragments punch through the combustion chambers, sawing the turbojets in half. Sparks ignite the fuel tanks. In the blink of an eye, the Iranian 165 kilograms high explosive warheads suffer sympathetic detonation. 1, 2, 3, 8 massive fireballs bloom in rapid succession across the Persian Gulf, burning as bright as 8 suns rising simultaneously. The chain reaction explosions throw colossal pillars of water into the air. The shockwave shoves the air aside, sweeping across the sea in a perfect ring and slamming into the steel hull of the American destroyer. On the Aegis displays, the 8 bright red diamonds stop flashing. They shatter into fragments of static, then vanish entirely. The sky is scrubbed clean. The TAO exhales, cold sweat soaking through his uniform. The Aegis servers continue their steady, icy hum, utterly apathetic to life and death. Far away, near the port of Bandar Abbas, the Iranian captain stands in the dark. The telemetry connection on his console has evaporated. The perfect pawn sacrifice, the ambush in the radar blind spot, all of it ground to dust in just 85 seconds. A modified cargo ship might win the airborne economic math against fighter jets limited by their payloads. But when forced into a head-on collision with the silent mathematical brain of the Aegis combat system, the only thing it bought was a few petty explosions and the eternal silence of the ocean. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like, subscribe, and stay with Military Calculus for the next battlefield equation. Military Calculus. Understand the tech that writes history. Goodbye.